Well, good Friday morning to you. Piedmont Triad, as you welcome in here to WFMY News 2 and all of our streaming platforms. The time now 11 o'clock. So if you get this information much later than that, it could be out of date. So check for those later updates. I want to show you where we are as far as Hurricane Ian, where it's at, where it's headed, and what we are seeing right now across the Piedmont for about the next 10 minutes. We'll break it all down in detail for you so you know exactly how to plan the rest of your Friday afternoon and evening, and of course the weekend as well. Start with things happening across the Piedmont right now. Rain started to move in really early this morning, about 4 and 5 o'clock. Started as light rain, of course, across the Piedmont, and that's what's now continuing to fall across our area and will for the next couple hours, but of course seeing it picking up in intensity as we head into the afternoon and into the evening. So as you look live across the Piedmont right now on our weather cameras, Winston-Salem, Burlington, and High Point, nothing really crazy. Every now and then you'll notice one of our weather cameras kind of shaking around with the wind that's blowing, but the wind is at least manageable right now. The rain is at least manageable for the time being as well. So light rain falling all across the Piedmont. As you see, temperatures starting out in the mid-50s here at the midday hour. Now, as you look elsewhere across the board, this is really a chilly, raw rain. If you've been outside this morning, you know that. 50s and rain make for a really raw combo in late September and early October. This is really more representative of an early December day, more so than a fall day across the Piedmont. So as you look at temperatures, we're at 53 in Greensboro, 54 Winston-Salem, 53 Asheboro, 52 Lexington, 54 in Burlington, but stuck in the mid-50s, and we're likely not going to move away from this for several hours today. We're not going to see temperatures come out of the 50s. We started in the mid and upper 50s, and now we've kind of settled into those low 50s for the rest of the day, afternoon, into the evening as well. So latest on Hurricane Ian, where is it? We just got a brand new update at 11 o'clock from the National Hurricane Center. So with 85-mile-per-hour winds, still a Category 1 storm, now sitting about 60 miles off the coast of Charleston, South Carolina. Of course, north, it has picked up some speed, now at about 14 miles per hour. So even though the center is off the coast of Charleston, with that north movement, it's going to take a little while longer for us to officially have another landfall. I expect that landfall to be somewhere near Georgetown and Myrtle Beach, South Carolina in a few hours. Even though the center of the storm is still sitting offshore, as we know, hurricanes are not just points on a map, they are big objects. So we are seeing rain and wind spreading all across South Carolina, now well into North Carolina, and we're getting that steady rain across the Piedmont. Zooming in a little closer here, it's just light rain right now. There have been a few pockets of the heavier, more moderate rain that have moved through, but there haven't been very many of those. To our east, there's more of that along the coast of North Carolina, but we will see it picking up in intensity as we go throughout the day. Here's the setup for us. We've had cool high pressure to our north that's been in control for the last several days. So we have cool fall air that's locked in. So if you step outside this morning, you may say, it doesn't really feel tropical, doesn't really feel like a hurricane because it's not warm. We have the cool air locked in place, and Ian is not going to be able to move that out of the way. So with that locked in place, you noticed it was already windy yesterday. High pressure to the north, strong low pressure to the south. As they kind of come together, they battle each other out, which is why we were already seeing that wind picking up yesterday. Now, once it makes a landfall in South Carolina, yes, it does weaken pretty quickly to a tropical storm, then a depression, then a remnant low as it moves across North Carolina. But we are going to be on the east side of this storm. That's where the strongest winds are, where the heaviest rain is. So that's why, if this is the first update you've seen over the last 24 hours, things have changed. Our wind threat has increased, our flooding threat has increased, our risk for power outages has increased, and of course the speed of this storm has also increased. It's kind of the flip side to all of our other risk going up. So Category 1 storm expected to make a landfall with 85-mile-per-hour winds between Myrtle Beach and Georgetown later today. I think that's probably the best general location for where this thing is going to come ashore. Then it, of course, tracks across South Carolina and eventually North Carolina as we head into your Saturday morning. Hurricane warnings in effect for the coast of South Carolina. Tropical storm warnings in effect for the coast of North Carolina, and those warnings do extend inland. They do cover the Triad. They do cover most of the inland areas in South Carolina as well. A lot of confusion on this and a lot of questions I've had over the course of the morning. Okay, it's a hurricane, so how come we have tropical storm warnings in effect? Reason for that being is for the wind potential. So as that storm comes ashore in South Carolina later today in the next few hours, it's going to have hurricane force winds that get places like Myrtle Beach, Georgetown, even up to Florence, South Carolina, likely going to feel hurricane force winds. By the time it moves into the inland and central South Carolina and into the Piedmont, it weakens significantly, so our winds won't be as strong. They still could be on the order of tropical storm force between 40 and 73 miles per hour. Therefore, Tropical storm warnings in effect because of the wind that we are likely to get from this storm. Meanwhile, along the coast, storm surge is also going to be a very big issue with 4 to 7 feet of storm surge near Charleston, South Carolina. We could see a couple to even a few, maybe 3 to 5 feet of storm surge along the Grand Strand, even up to Wrightsville Beach and Oak Island, those areas. And I'm thinking a lot about the restaurants and the folks that sit right there on the beach in Oak Island, likely going to get flooded again with this storm surge and with this rain that's on the way later today. They've already been pummeled with rain there early this morning. All right, let's talk about winds across the Piedmont for us. This morning, things haven't been that crazy. We've seen wind gusts on the order of 25 to 30 miles per hour as a general rule, and we're still gusting around there right now. But this is going to pick up as we go into the afternoon. Really, after lunchtime, we're going to see some of this wind ramp up. And by the middle of the afternoon, I think we're easily seeing gusts on the order of 30 to 40 miles per hour. Now, that's still not the strongest wind that we're going to see as we head into your Friday evening. And when I'm talking about Friday evening, I mean the commute time frame, dinner time, 5, 6 o'clock. I do think that's the point that we're going to see our windiest period of weather that hangs around for several hours. Okay, so we could see gusts on the order of 40 to 50 miles per hour for several hours. This is not sustained wind that long, for several hours with gusts up to 50 miles per hour, maybe a little more than that in some cases. That's going to cause our trees to come down, going to cause several power outages to start to rack up across the Piedmont. I'm not guaranteeing that you're going to lose power, but there will be some folks that likely lose power as we go into this evening, and especially after dark. We don't like wind after dark. We don't like to lose power after dark. And unfortunately, I think there may be a few folks across the area that are in the dark as we head into the nighttime hours. Okay, so those high wind gusts do linger through the early part of the overnight hours going into your Saturday, 1, 2, 3 o'clock. At that point, Ian will move away from us. We'll start to see our winds relaxing pretty quickly, and by sunrise tomorrow morning, wind is not a big issue. All right, let's talk about rain. Kind of the same scenario here. It's light at first for now. Heading into the afternoon and heading into the evening, we start to see those heavier bands of rain pushing into the Piedmont from Ian. And again, really around that evening commute time frame, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, maybe up until about 9 or 10 is when we're going to see those pockets of really, really heavy rain. Because what's happening is these are those inner eye wall bands, those strongest bands of rain and wind from Ian as the center gets a little closer to us. So a couple hours of really, really heavy torrential rain are going to start to rack up some pretty hefty rain totals across the Piedmont, likely also leading to some flash flooding concerns. Typical trouble spots first, you know, if you're talking about Greensboro, Latham Park always floods quickly. The Revolution Mill area always floods quickly, even when we don't have this much rain. So this much rain likely is going to cause some flooding issues in many spots across the Piedmont. Early tomorrow morning by sunrise, rain does start to pull away from us, and I actually think your Saturday ends up being a pretty okay day of weather. You know, the big rain is gone, the big wind is gone. I'm not going to rule out a scattered shower, but for the most part, I think Saturday's okay. Now, I do think there will probably be some cleanup in some way, shape, or form that we'll need to, of course, assess. But as far as weather goes, I think Saturday's an okay weather day. A lot of question about tornadoes for our area. Not expecting that because we're just going to be too chilly, too cold. Temperature stuck in the 50s. It's hard to get any instability, get any kind of rotation going. I do think it's a concern east of Raleigh, mainly east of the I-95 corridor. That's where we'll have a better potential for some tornadoes today. Now, this is a brand new update. We were all included in our area in this level 3 moderate risk or high significant risk for flash flooding. That has now been extended to uncover the Raleigh area, even into the coastal regions of North Carolina, but pretty significant flash flooding risk for our entire area down into South Carolina. I actually do think the mountains in western North Carolina have a slightly lesser chance for some big deal flash flooding, just because we're going to get all the rain and all the wind on the east side of that storm. 2 to 4 inches generally for rainfall across the Piedmont. Of course, locally higher totals than that, but rain and wind are our 2 big concerns with this system, of course, which will lead to scattered power outages as we go into your Friday evening and Friday night. So here's the plan. Light rain, nothing crazy, nothing wild through about lunchtime and early afternoon. Heading into the evening hours, again, evening commute time frame, dinner time, that's where the wind starts to pick up. The rain starts to pick up. So we'll keep a close eye on any issues. Quick timeline here. You're fine this morning. Things get busier this afternoon and this evening, and we do clear out going into your Saturday. Now, we'll still be left with moisture, maybe enough to give us a scattered shower through your Sunday and into Monday. But by Tuesday, we are officially drying things out. We're back up near 70 by the middle and end of next week.